Magnetic field at a point along the axial line due to magnetic dipole. Consider a bar magnet which has north pole as N and south pole as S, and center O is the geometrical center of bar magnet. The length between the S to O is L and O to N is L. So the length of the bar magnet is 2L. Now from the center O to the point, that is C, the magnetic field at a point along the axis of the magnet. So from the geometrical center O of the bar magnet can be computed by keeping unit north pole, that is QMC is equal to 1 amps meter at C. Here this force is the south force and this one is the north pole. We mentioned it as a BS and BN. Here this is the axis. This is x direction which has plus I and minus I, and y direction as the positive j and minus j. The magnetic field at C due to the north pole is Bn is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into Qm divided by r minus L whole square, that is I. Why here we are mentioning r minus L means from the center geometrical to the point C we are mentioned as a R. Now we are going to consider only the length between from north to center. So we have to minus L. So the distance between the magnet and the center point is R minus L. So here we are mentioned as a R minus L whole square. And the charge here only we are using Qm, that is pole strength here Qm. So the force exerted by the magnetic field is directly proportional to the charge and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Here we are considering only the north side force, that is Bn. So we have only one pole strength, that is Qm. Now the magnetic field at C due to the south pole is Bs, that is equal to minus mu naught divided by 4 pi into Qm divided by r plus L whole square I. Here the r plus L is the distance between from south of the bar magnet and unit north pole at C. Now the net magnetic field due to the magnetic dipole at point C is B is equal to Bn plus Bs. That is the force exerted by the north pole and south pole. Now substitute the value of Bn and Bs in this equation. You will get B bar is equal to mu 2r divided by 4 pi into Qm dot 2L divided by r square minus L square whole square in the I direction. Since the magnitude of the magnetic dipole moment is P is equal to Pm is equal to Qm dot 2L, the magnetic field at a point C can be written as B axial is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into 2 rpm divided by r square minus L square whole square into I. If the distance between the two poles in a bar magnet is small, so it looks like very short magnet when compared to the distance between the geocenter O of bar magnet and the location of point C, the r length is very greater than L. So that r square minus L square whole square we can consider it as a r power 4. Therefore by using this condition we can write the equation B axial is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into q pm divided by r cube into I. So where pm is equal to pmi. So that we can write mu naught divided by 4 pi into 2 divided by r cube pm vector. Magnetic field at a point along the equatorial line due to a magnetic dipole. Consider a bar magnet N, S, that is N is the north pole and S is the south pole, and the O center is the geometrical center of the bar magnet. And from the geometrical center an equator line to mention the magnetic field at a point C, where this QMC, that is the pole strength of the north pole, is QMC is equal to 1 amp meter because it is a unit north pole, and where the distance between the center and the point C is r. We know that by using the Pythagoras theorem, r square is equal to, that is this resultant vector we can find by squaring the adjacent and opposite side. So r dash is equal to r square plus l square power 1 by 2. Here this is the axis line. Here this direction is the minus I and this direction is the plus I. Here this one is plus j and this one is minus j. In this diagram, we can know that the force of North Pole is mentioned as Bn and the force of South Pole is mentioned as Bs. The force of repulsion between North Pole of the bar magnet and unit North Pole at a point C is Bn vector, that is Bn is equal to minus I, here minus I, so minus Bn cos theta plus Bn sin theta j. Similarly for south, that is Bs is equal to minus Bs cos theta I and minus Bs sin theta j. So mathematically we can write by Coulomb's law, then Bn force, that is north pole force, is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi Qm divided by r dash square. We know that r dash is equal to r square plus l square power 1 by 2. And similarly for south, force is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi Qm r dash square. From this equation, the net magnetic field at point C due to the dipole is B is equal to Bn plus Bs. We know the value of Bn and Bs, that both are get equal. So we can write B bar is equal to minus Bn plus Bs cos theta I. Substitute the value so that we will get 2 mu naught by 4 pi into Qm divided by r square plus l square into cos theta I. In a right angle triangle of NOC, here see in this diagram, this is NOC. To find the angle theta, that is cos theta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is r dash and then the adjacent is L. So we can write it as a L divided by R dash. So cos theta is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse is equal to L divided by R dash. We know the value of R dash here, r square plus L square power 1 by 2. Substituting this value in this equation, we will get B bar is equal to minus mu naught divided by 4 pi into Qm into 2L divided by r square plus L square power 3 by 2 into I. We know this Qm into 2L is equal to Pm. So for an equatorial force B is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi into Pm divided by r square plus L square power 3 by 2 into I cap. If the distance between two poles in a bar magnet is small, it looks like very short magnet. When compared to the distance between geometrical center O of the bar magnet and the location of point C, the R is greater than the length. So this equation we can write is nearly is equal to R cube. So by substituting this equation in equatorial force B, that is equal to minus mu naught divided by 4 pi Pm divided by R cube R cap. Here we know that Pmi is equal to Pm. Now finally we get the value of B equatorial is equal to minus mu naught divided by 4 pi Pm divided by R cube. Note here the magnitude of the B axial is twice that of magnitude of B equatorial and the direction of the B axial and B equatorial are opposite. Torque acting on a bar magnet in uniform magnetic field. That is, place a bar magnet in a uniform magnetic field B. Here, the length of the bar magnet is 2L. The force experienced by the North Pole is Fn is equal to Qm B bar and Fs is equal to minus Qm B bar. Why here minus Qm means the pole strength is experienced a force in opposite direction to the uniform magnetic field. So the south pole here we have mentioned as minus Qm_B. By adding these two equations, you will get the net force acting on the dipole. F is equal to Fn plus Fs, that is equal to 0. Here we are going to find the torque at point O. That O is the center point of the bar magnet, which shows the inverse direction. That means by right hand cock rule, if you show your thumb rule, thumb into the paper means the forefinger shows the direction of the magnetic field. The moment of force or torque experienced by the north and south pole about point O is torque, that is tau, is equal to On into Qm B bar plus Os into minus Qm B. Since the magnitudes of On and Os we know that length, that means the center point is O and towards the north it is length L and towards the south it is also length L. So the total length is 2L. The angle between the angle of the bar magnet after force experienced by the uniform magnetic field is 2L sin theta. So the torque at point O we can write L into Qm B sin theta. By adding these two values, we will get 2L into Qm B sin theta. So the torque is equal to Pm B sin theta. We know that 2L into Qm is equal to Pm. Substitute that so that you will get this. By in vector notation, the torque is equal to Pm into B bar. Potential energy of bar magnet in a uniform magnetic field. Here also the same condition, the bar magnet is going to place in a uniform magnetic field at a length of bar magnet is 2L, and then force exerted by the north pole and the south pole is Fn. We know the torque value is equal to Pmb into sin theta. If the dipole is rotated through a very small angular displacement, that is d theta, against the torque at constant angular velocity, then the work done by external torque for this smaller angular displacement is given by. That means if you keep a bar magnet in a uniform magnetic field at an angle, after experienced by the magnetic field, that bar magnet will move certain rotation of angle. So that angle is deviation, if we can mention it as the angular displacement d theta. The amount of work done to turn the bar magnet with an angle, that is dW is equal to torque extended into d theta. The torque which is equal to the bar magnet at a constant angular velocity. So which implies that tau B is equal to tau external. So we can write dW is equal to Pmb sin theta v theta. The total work done is rotating the bar magnet from the angle theta dash is equal to theta. So when you integral the limit between theta dash to theta, you will get W is equal to minus Pmb cos theta minus cos theta dash. The work done is started as a potential energy. Here now we find the work done. Now the same work done we have mentioned as a potential energy in bar magnet at an angle theta. So the W is replaced by U, that is potential energy. In fact, this equation gives the difference in potential energy between the angular position of theta dash and theta. If we choose the reference point is as a theta dash initially, that means that bar magnet is, if you kept perpendicular to the uniform magnetic field, means it is a angle 90 degree. So the term equation becomes 0, that is we know that cos 90 degree is equal to 0. So U is equal to minus Pm B cos theta. Now the new angle, the potential energy stored in a bar magnet in a uniform magnetic field is U is equal to minus Pm into B. First case, the angle after the bar get rotated, no? So the angle first initially we are considering 0 degree, means then the potential energy U is equal to minus Pmb. After the angle rotate to 180 degree, then the 180 cos 180 is minus 1. So the minus become minus into minus plus. So now U is equal to Pmb. We can infer from the above results The potential energy of a bar magnet is minimum when it is aligned along the external magnetic field and maximum when the bar magnet is aligned anti-parallel to the external magnetic field. Magnetic properties. All materials are not magnetic in nature. Further, all the magnetic materials will not behave identically. So, in order to differentiate one magnetic material from another, some basic parameters are used. The first property is magnetizing field. The magnetic field which is used to magnetize a sample or a specimen is called the magnetizing field. The magnetizing field is a vector quantity and it is denoted by H and its unit is A per meter. Next one is magnetic permeability. The magnetic permeability is the measure of ability of the material to allow the passage of magnetic field lines through it, or measure the capacity of the substance to take magnetization, or the degree of penetration of magnetic field through the substance. In free space, the permeability is denoted as nu naught, and for any other medium it is denoted by nu. The relative permittivity mu r is defined as the ratio between the absolute permeability of the medium to the permeability of the free space, that is mu r is equal to mu by mu naught. So the relative permeability is the dimensionless number and it has no units. For free space, that is air or vacuum, the relative permeability is unity, that is mu r is equal to 1. Intensity of magnetization. Any bulk material contains a large number of atoms. Each atom consists of electrons which undergo an arbitrary motion. That is, in nucleus we have photons and neutrons. The electrons is around the nucleus, so it is in orbit. Due to the orbital motion, the electron has magnetic moment, which is vector quantity. In general, these magnetic moments orient randomly. Therefore, the magnetic moment is 0 per unit volume of the material. So, when such a material is kept in an external magnetic field, atomic dipoles are induced, and hence they will try to align particularly or partially or fully along the direction of external field. The net magnetic moment per unit volume of the material is known as the intention of the magnetization. It is a vector quantity, that means it has both direction and magnitude. Mathematically, we can derive the magnetic intensity M is equal to magnetic moment by volume, that is Pm divided by V. The SI unit of intensity of magnetization is ampere per meter. For a bar magnet of pole strength Qm and length Ql and area cross section A, the magnetic moment of the bar magnet is Pm is equal to Qm 2L, and the volume of the bar magnet is V is equal to A into 2L. The intensity of the magnetization of a bar magnet is magnetic moment by volume is equal to Qm 2L divided by 2LA. So that you will get M is equal to Qm by A. This means for a bar magnet, the intensity of magnetization can be defined as the pole strength per unit area. Next, magnetic induction or total magnetic field. When a substance like soft iron bar is placed in a uniform magnetizing field H, the substance gets magnetized. The magnetic induction, that is total magnetic field inside the specimen B, is equal to the sum of the magnetic field B naught produced in vacuum due to the magnetizing field, and the magnetic field Bm due to the induced magnetization, that is magnetism of the substance, is B bar is equal to B naught plus Bm. That is, we know B naught is equal to nu naught H, where nu naught is the permeability in free space. Now B is equal to, we can write nu naught into H plus M. Magnetic succibility. When a substance is kept in a magnetizing field H, magnetic susceptibility gives information about how a material responds to the external applied magnetic field. In other words, the magnetic susceptibility is measured how easily and how strongly a material can be magnetized. It is defined as a ratio of the intensity of the magnetization M induced in the material to the magnetizing field H. So we can write the susceptibility is equal to M divided by H. It is a dimensionless quantity. Magnetic susceptibility for some of the isotropic substance is given in this table. Here we have the magnetic susceptibility for various material like aluminium, copper, diamond and so on. So you can verify the susceptibility value here in this table. Classifications of magnetic material. It has three categories: diamagnetic substance, paramagnetic substance and ferromagnetic substance. Diamagnetic substance are those which are favorably repelled by the magnets and tends to move from high to low magnetic field region. The individual atoms do not possess any net magnetic moment on their own. The magnetization M varies with H in a linear way, that is, M is equal to psi H, where psi is the magnetic susceptibility, is a small negative number and it is independent of temperature. Here the relative permeability mu R is less than 1. Superconductor exhibit perfect diamagnetism. The phenomenon of perfect diamagnetism is superconductor is called Meissner effect. Next, paramagnetic substance are those which are favorably attracted by the magnets and tends to move from low to high magnetic field region. The individual atom possesses permanent magnetic dipole moment. The susceptibility is small positive number and it is inversely proportional to the absolute temperature. So here psi is equal to C by T. Mu R is slightly greater than 1. Ferromagnetic substance. Ferromagnetic substances are those which are strongly attracted by magnets and tend to move from high to low magnetic field region. Atoms have permanent magnetic dipole moments which are spontaneously organized into domains of uniform magnetization. M is not directly proportional to H. The susceptibility is positive and very high but no longer constant. So psi is equal to C by T minus Tc. Here the relative probability is much greater than 1. So here two effects may occur. When ferromagnetic material is placed in an external magnetic field, rotation of the domains so that they become more closely aligned with external field. Comparison of magnetic material. In diamagnetic substance which are favorably repelled by a magnet, that means when it placed in a magnetic field the line of force tends to avoid the substance, whereas in paramagnetic substance which are favorably attracted by a magnet, the line of force prefer to pass through the substance rather than air. In ferromagnetic substance which are strongly attracted by a magnet, here the line of force tends to crowd into a specimen. When a diamagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is weakly magnetized in the direction opposite to the inducing field. But in paramagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is weakly magnetized in the direction of the inducing field, whereas in ferromagnetic substance is placed in a magnetic field, it is strongly magnetized in the direction of the inducing field. So while comparing, the ferromagnet is the strong magnetized material compared to diamagnetic and paramagnetic. The next one, induced dipole moment is negative value in diamagnetic, whereas in paramagnetic the induced dipole moment M is small positive value, but in ferromagnetic it is large positive value. Next is intensity of magnetization, has a small negative value in diamagnetic. In paramagnetic it is a small positive value, but in ferromagnetic the intensity of the magnetization has a large positive value. The last one is permeability. that is denoted as mu. It is always less than unity in diamagnetic. It is more than unity in paramagnetic, but it is much more than unity in ferromagnetic material. So the comparison is based on the magnetizing field and then magnetizing type of the material, susceptibility and relative permeability. Hysteresis. In this topic, we are going to see the characteristics of the ferromagnetic material when it is kept in a magnetizing field to get the magnetized by induction. Here we have two important parameters. One is magnetic induction B and magnetizing field H. The ratio between these two B and H is nu. It is not a constant. For example, a ferromagnetic material, let us consider a iron, is magnetized slowly by a magnetizing field H. Then the magnetic induction B of the material increases from point A with the magnitude of the magnetizing field and then attains the saturation level C. This response material is depicted by the path from A to C. The saturation of the magnetization is defined as the maximum point up to which the material can be magnetized by applying the magnetism field. If the magnetizing field is now get reduced, that means the magnetic inductions also decreases, but it not trace the original path from C to A. It takes the different path from C to D. So when the magnetizing field is 0, here the H is 0, but we have some B value. That means the magnetism is still left in the specimen even the H is equal to 0. This, the residual magnetism AD present in the specimen is called remanence or retentivity. This is one important characteristics of the ferromagnetic material. It is defined as the ability of the material to retain the magnetism in them even magnetizing field vanishes. In order to demagnetize the material, the magnetizing field is gradually increased in the reverse direction. Now the magnetic induction decreases along the D to E, and becomes 0 at E. So here the magnetizing field AE in the reverse direction is required to bring residual magnetizing to 0. So the magnitude of the reverse magnetizing field for which the residual magnetism of the material vanishes is called the correctivity or coercivity. Further increases of H in the reverse direction. Now we are increasing the H in the reverse direction. The magnetic induction increases along EF until it reaches the saturation at F in the reverse direction. If the magnetizing field is decreased and then increased with the direction reversed, the magnetic induction takes place a path FGK. Here FGK again is look like a loop. So this closed curve, that is from A to C, then D to E, then F, G, K, C. This closed curve is called the hysteresis loop and it represents a cycle of magnetization. In the entire cycle, the magnetic induction B lags behind the magnetism field H. This phenomenon of lagging magnetic induction behind the magnetizing field is called hysteresis. Hysteresis means lagging behind. During the magnetization of the specimen through a cycle, there is loss of energy in the form of heat. This loss is attributed to the rotation and orientations of molecular magnets in various directions. It is found that the energy lost per unit volume of the material when it is carried through one cycle of magnetization is equal to the area of the hysteresis loop. Thus, The loss of energy for a complete cycle is del E, and it is denoted as closed curve integral and H dB. This is the loss of energy for a complete cycle, where B is the ampere per meter square and H is ampere per meter. The loss in energy is measured is joules, where B is ampere meter square. Based on the shape and size of the hysteresis loop, the ferromagnetic materials are classified as soft magnetic materials with smaller area and hard magnetic material with larger area. The comparison of hysteresis loops for two magnetic materials we are seeing here, that is carbon steel is hard and silicon steel is soft. Application of hysteresis loop. One is permanent magnets and second one is electromagnets and third one is core of the transformer.